Today I'll be talking about the issue of compost overflow in the dorms. What's wrong? What's going on, and how it's an issue, and how we can fix it. So overflowing compost bins. I work as a DA, and I've taken out the compost and the recycling in every center. It's one of the jobs we have to do. And as part of that, I've seen many different forms of the how many times I've seen the full compost bin. And the I've seen it where it's overflowing, and the bag was slightly ripped, and it was kind of spilling into the liquid spilled into the bin, into into the compost bin that was holding the bag, and it was collecting as a puddle at the bottom. And it wasn't just one; there were multiple compost bins that had this. And one of the bags they were slightly ripping, of course. So I had to move fast, and I had to make sure that the bag didn't spill onto the ground, but it did, and got food in the stairwell. And of course, food can spill. I've had some food spill onto the ground in the compost centers. So what's the issue there? Well, the first issue arises with the smell. The smell from compost can permeate any room in just a few minutes. The the compost bags was that had ripped had some food that spilled in one of the stairwells, and the food had permeated through the entire stairwell, and the smell was so bad that anyone who wanted to use the stairwell to get to the second floor went to the Hanson Hall and had to go up that just so they didn't have to go through the stairwell and have to smell what was in there. So obviously this can lead to the smell permeating if it doesn't get checked. In compost centers, the smell could lead to the rooms. And if the smell is in the rooms, how can someone how can someone relax, get their homework done, or even sleep if they have to keep smelling that? If we They'd be forced to buy air fresheners, and that's just not right if they have to give an expense out for a mistake on the campus side or the university's fault. And this can lead to them and not getting the work done or not getting enough sleep could lead to them fail their classes. They're failing their classes. They're going to drop out. Dropping out means Stout loses money, and it's this domino effect that over time could lead to a massive tuition loss. All over just the smell. But there's more. There's also the disease that can come from it. Any trash will have disease in it. That's just a fact. That's why we take it out into controlled places so only a few people can go in there, and usually they're handling it with gloves or some kind of sanitary devices. Well, the thing about trash is there's always flies around it. Flies will transmit any kind of disease that's on the trash. It could land on the surface, could land on your arm, and you could possibly get sick. Or worst one, it could land on your food, and you get your food infected. How's that feel? I mean, these are the same flies. The same flies that will go around the compost are the same ones that'll follow you around campus. So what are the solutions to this? I have three solutions that will hopefully help solve the problem, and, or at the very least mitigate it. The first solution is to use bigger compost bins and bigger bags. That way, the the bigger compost bins allows us to use the bigger bags. Using the bigger bags allows us to put more compost into it without it ripping, and it can lead and because of the bigger bins, the food won't spill out as much. So when it starts to get full, so if it doesn't fill as fast, it means we can get the bag out earlier before it starts overflowing. And speaking of liquids, if the second thing we can do to help improve this is to put up signs in the compost center or around it that says to dump out any extra liquids like noodle broth, some kind of water, some kind of like infested water or something. Like dump it out in the sink or some kind of drain in, or there's even a designated just drain in the compost center that you can just dump it out into. But some people didn't do that, and it collected at the bottom. So if they do that, then there's less risk of the bag ripping, even if the even if the food isn't making it rip. And the third solution to help keep the bacteria away is to have someone at least once every 2 weeks or even once a month come by and clean up the compost center to help keep the bacteria in check. All three of these solutions will lead to someone being will lead the to a safer and healthier dormitory and campus life.